is, but. Hey, we got one thing, we're gonna talk about some lawnmowers whenever.
There you go.
I make a motion to come out of executive session.
Motion
Second.
by Mr. Morrow to come out executive session. Second by Mr. Bishop.
Hey, Janice, will you go get Mike?
All in favor, say aye.
Go
Any
get Mike.
Opposed, the like sign. All right, we're out of executive session. So, continuing on the additional business side, no action is taken in executive session. Continuing on, other items to add to it. Mr. Grantham?
Mr. Grantham, we say no.
No, is what he says.
No.
Craig,
No.
do I need to add Brian to it, or just additional comments?
We need to add a discussion of the Pafford Ambulance Service.
Okay.
Make a motion, we add that discussion item after ambulance service to the agenda.
Okay, got a motion by Mr. Morrow to add it to the agenda. Second by myself. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, the like sign. All right, so Mr. Grantham, thanks for coming in. I know you were off today, so thank you for coming in today on your day off
I
to
apologize
discuss
for
this.
the late notice. I got this letter that you have before you from Pafford late yesterday afternoon. So I figured with the timing of this probably being the last board meeting before October, we should go ahead and at least bring it to your attention.
Okay, thank you.
So, you have the letter there in front of you, details a little bit about what Pafford, their calls for the past year, a little over a year now. In front of you, they did not specifically say a number that they request on the subsidy, so we're gonna be leaving it up to you guys on that. But I did write a little bit here, and I will supply you with the letter that I've got in my possession. But I was asked to make a recommendation based on my experience of our EMS system for the purposes of whether to recommend Pafford EMS receiving a subsidy. I hope this information assists you in making that decision. Based on our conversations with Pafford during the initial contract negotiations a little over a year ago, the total number of calls that Pafford might run during their inaugural year in Rankin County was unknown because we couldn't really place a figure of how many calls they would be running and everything. I remember them stating that they run approximately 12,000 calls, that they would be okay. However, if it was below that, they would come back to the board and ask for a subsidy. And per their report, Pafford has run approximately 16,000 calls within that same year. That number includes calls run inside the city of Brandon and the city of Pearl, which, just to remind you, they created their own EMS district several years ago when we were having the AMR issue. The problem with that number of calls is about 4,000 of those calls are called dry runs, which is where they send a crew out to someone who's called 911, and for whatever reason the patient has changed their mind, so they don't get the transport. And you may or may not know, what an ambulance company, that's where they make their money on, is actual transport, not just being available and coming to your house to check on you. So in these cases, Pafford is unable to charge the patient and must absorb the cost of the crew on that run. It's my understanding that some numbers have been talked about before, but Pafford has requested an amount of $300,000 for their second year in Rankin County. This is based on the initial numbers given to us by the COO Keith Carter last year. He stated that it would cost this amount to have an additional truck in Rankin County, and he stated that he would be interested in splitting the cost with the county, so Pafford would be okay with $150,000. Now, these are just numbers in my memory based on about a year ago. Pafford is not asking for the money to add an additional truck to the system. I want to make that clear. They are now asking for a subsidy to continue business that is currently run today, which is the 8 trucks Monday through Friday. That 8th truck is used to run BLS calls and nursing home to dialysis and stuff, but it is also available to use if the system gets overloaded. Any other time, there are 7 fully staffed trucks at any given time. Today, I'm recommending a subsidy of $100,000 be awarded to Pafford over the course of 1 year, and I base this on what it would cost for an ALS crew to staff a truck for a period of 1 year. This is the paramedic and the EMT, roughly their salary for 1 year. I want to remind the board that the city of Pearl and the city of Brandon created their own EMS district several years ago, and in their contract, I believe, details a subsidy, which is their EMSOF grant money that's given by the state. That's what they use as their subsidy, and that totals roughly about $20,000 between both cities. Rankin County currently allows Pafford to use our EMSOF money in the amount of around $57,000 to purchase equipment that provides services to the county, such as stair chairs and Lucas chest compression devices. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. We're already giving them approximately $57,000 and some change that they use for equipment. So my recommendation would be the $100,000, which in essence totaling $157,000 once we put everything to it. So that is my recommendation. And when speaking with the supervisor, yes.
Question. I don't mean to cut you off. Are you okay?
Well, I was just going to say, speaking with the supervisor, and asking, what would happen if you don't get a subsidy? He said that they will most likely drop one of those trucks down, so they will be providing the same service, but with fewer trucks, which is really not going to hurt the core of Rankin County, with it being Brandon and Pearl, Flowood, Richland area. Where you're going to probably see some times go up because of the lack of truck is going to be the Leesburg, the Southwest, the Star, the Puckett areas, in my opinion.
Same thing
average-
that happened under our last.
Yeah, but they didn't have as many trucks, I don't.
I know, I mean, that's what happened before.
I know, but how many trucks we have before?
We were never guaranteed, with AMR, we were never guaranteed any
You didn't.
trucks.
No, right.
Anyway,
We didn't.
Bob?
Any way to say what is the average time out into the southwest part of the county, southeast, northeast? What I'm getting at is, I mean, if those numbers are averaging 10 to 12,
Right.
I mean, is that a fair representation?
That
for
is the whole county, and that includes the city of Brandon and city of Pearl, where they have stations in that. So I'm glad you brought that up, because I did want to make that point. When they say the average time in Rankin County is just over 10 minutes, that's including Brandon and Pearl, averaging the end with the Leesburg calls.
With the higher
Bucket
call
calls.
volume.
Right.
Well, that's
I
like that.
guess my question being is, can we afford to say, okay, it takes them 12 minutes now to get down to Puckett. If I push it out to 15, are we okay with that?
We're much more than that at our area.
Are you?
I'm gonna say we're about 20.
20?
Yes.
Maybe a little
The-
over 20 on average.
The
We're
current-
under 30, but probably 20 somewhere.
I have not gotten any complaints.
No,
Right, and I definitely want to say that too. We have worked very well with Pafford. Pafford has worked very well with us. We have had very, very few complaints on the times.
Yep.
Up in both of y'all's areas, they're allowed up to 30 minutes,
Right.
and they're below that
Right.
vast majority of
Yeah.
times.
One thing I want to add to it that happens quite frequently, because my radio stays on most of the time. We get into system overload a lot, where all 7 trucks in this county are on runs. I can think of multiple times in the last couple of weeks that Reservoir itself running 4 or 5 calls at the same time. So my point on that is the 7 trucks that are out here, it's not uncommon to get those overloaded, and they got to come from somewhere else, which they do. Dropping a truck here really bothers me. That's my fear. I don't want to drop a truck.
Laurel, what did you put in our budget?
150.
So 100 we'd still be 50 in the good. Okay.
How does this, is this balancing out the way you got it figured? Is it, you've really looked at it and how it balances out with us subsidizing and the cities basically subsidizing? I don't want to be the subsidy for them. So you've looked at that.
Yeah, originally, before Brandon and Pearl created their own districts, the county was receiving approximately $88,000 in the EMSOF grant. When they created their own,
Which can be only
entities-
used for certain things.
correct,
Right.
correct. When they created their
general
own
funding.
districts, they made a city decision to take the money that they received from that, and that is their subsidy. So.
So it don't matter whether it's coming to us or the city, they're getting, it's just going through a different hand.
Yeah, I just didn't want us to
And-
compensate there.
Each year too, we pay them a per capita amount too,
Yeah.
which is a little bit lower now, 21 maybe now
Yeah.
since Brand,
I don't know.
or
I-
they pulled out, so we
I'm
give
in
them that too.
I guess I get in favor of it, just from the standpoint, I haven't gotten any complaints, and there's not much out there in competition to bring back to the table, to hold their feet to the fire. However, I do live in fear that this is just the beginning, and we're gonna have to come to a B demise. We're gonna extend out times or other things to help solve this problem, because I know their costs are not gonna go away, or not gonna
Right.
get cheaper. It's just gonna cost them more in people, manpower, everybody else is getting killed on raising wages and stuff like that. So It is what it is. But I'm in favor.
I'm not for it, but I'm not for it, but I know it's like a necessary evil. We're gonna wind up having to do it. The problem that I see, my gut feeling is they're just using this really, honestly, to get more money. I think they can handle it like it is, but they're gonna, they set the tone right up front when they said 300 something, then they came in the other day and said, well, 150. So I think they just want more money, and I don't, whether.
I make the motion, we accept Brian's recommendation for $100,000 to be paid out. You said over the year, but
Yeah,
you want to
how
pay
would
that
it be
over.
paid out?
The details on that would have to be worked out. I just basically said over a year. Pafford has not requested a certain format of how they want it, if they want it all up front. Since they're wanting to keep business as usual, I assume it won't be to purchase a new truck that they need the money all up front. So details on that would have to be worked out once y'all agree to it.
All right, got a motion by Mr. Morrow, second by myself. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor say aye. Any opposed with a like sign?
Nay.
All right. Mr. Bishop votes against.
Out of curiosity, we went in and approved it. What is your stance, Mr. Bishop? You didn't offer any explanation.
Nothing's changed the day he come up here, the agreement was up front that they would share with us their money. And they didn't even bother to come back and do that.
Well, you don't want them showing their financials in an open board meeting, do you?
No, but that was the agreement, that they would come and visit with us and share with us individually, if not an open board meeting.
I thought y'all said you wanted them to come to the board meeting. You didn't want to meet with them individually.
We wanted them to show that. That is the point.
Yeah, but did you want that in the individual lunch session, take you to lunch and see it?
No.
Well,
I guess that's my
no.
question.
And whatever
How?
managed, in whatever way that was possible,
I got you.
Because, you were there, that's
Yeah.
what Keith Carter
Well,
said, and so did.
And again,
you
but
know, Greg.
the original discussion we had back several months ago was that he was going to be in touch with you to take you to sit down and discuss the financials. Y'all said no, we want to bring him in the board meeting in front of everybody and have it discussed. So he comes in the board meeting, has it discussed. Y'all say okay, send me a letter or something in writing. They go back and put it in writing. I told him to get with Brian, orchestrate it through him since he's over EMS, and then present the findings back that way.
Well, they obviously didn't listen, because I thought I was pretty clear.
I thought he did say that, really. Daniel.
Say what?
He wanted us to come back.
Y'all want to meet individually with Pafford to see the
He said
financials?
we wanted him to bring it back to us and show us a breakdown.
All right, but I guess my point is,
I
you wouldn't
think
expect,
that they could,
would you think
given
any
it
other
to-
company, anybody else we do business with, would come in an open board meeting and present their full financials to us?
No, and that was the whole reason that they were going to share it with us as proprietary information.
How, I guess is my question.
Well, sit down and show it to us.
Like out of a board meeting?
I don't think anybody ever suggested that they need to sit down in an open meeting and reveal their book.
All right, so I guess my question is, how would you like that done?
It could have been done to,
Give me
presented to the
suggestions.
attorney. It could have been presented to Laura.
How about Grant?
It could have been, presented to him too. I'm saying it could have been presented to any of them, but I don't think it has been.
Okay.
Has it?
Well, I mean, I guess that was kind of
And
the
not only
issue.
that, I find it very suspect that, they were saying they needed 300,000, but in a 2-week period, they dropped to 150.
Yeah.
So either you're making money and losing 300,000, or you're not. So
Yeah, and I guess,
that's,
and I guess to me, the 300,000 was the original discussion when they first came in here some 10, 12, 13, 14 months ago, whenever that was.
Yeah.
And then my answer to that is that mathematically, to me, that doesn't work. So,
I guess my question would be too, if you looked at the paper, the numbers, and found out, let's say they're making, 2% net operating profit. I mean, who are we to sit there and dictate to them, okay, now you can't make more than 3 or 4? I mean, I don't know. I see what you're saying. I see that they have to justify the thing, but I'm not sure what their bottom number is going to hit me and say, well, that's plenty.
you don't need to make any more
They-
money.
you don't need to
When
know.
do we cap what people make?
Right. It wasn't that. They said if they were losing money.
Yeah, and the only reason, my only thing I'm concerned about the truck, and I think the truck was thrown out there, I feel like it's almost thrown out as a threat. And I don't know that it would have really happened. They could have done it. But I'm concerned, true. I mean,
Do you think we could drop a truck and provide the same service we're
No, I
getting?
didn't say that. I said, that's my concern about them dropping one. I feel like they might use as a threat, and then in the end, they might do it just to say, see, we told you we couldn't do it
Now,
unless we got the
if,
100,000.
if they say they can't financially afford to put this truck on the line without losing money, so as a company, I choose to not lose money, and they take the truck offline. That's what they're saying, that financially, they can't afford to put the truck
I
on without a
understand.
subsidy.
I've been in business a long time. I understand that, Daniel. My point, I say, what I'm going off of is what Jay was saying. Show me where you're losing this money. I don't really believe they're operating losing $300,000. I don't think they can keep. I mean, you can't. Nobody can operate very long.
But I guess my
using
question is,
losing $300,000.
do we do that to every other employee we find? So, for example, do we go into engineering services, says, show me where you're making money. How much money do you make off of us on your billing cycle? We don't have them present their financials to us, or do we? I haven't seen them if we do. I guess my point is, you're starting that route down with an ambulance service.
It's a little different, I think, with the ambulance service. But
Why?
Well, they're for profit. They're a for-profit company. I agree with Daniel. I mean, I see what you're saying, and we want to justify our expense, but I don't know how else.
Well,
Brian, do you have any suggestions they can validate this request? I don't know.
Well, if they wanted to hold our feet to the fire, they said, no, we're gonna take $300,000.
Well, and again, the measuring tool I look at is you had AMR come in here under the previous administration
They wanted $1 million.
and asked $2 million for 4 trucks.
Yeah, well, he
And
just
then
threw
they
all
said-
that out
and
there.
then-
That would never happen.
Right, well, I mean, it wouldn't happen because surely nobody in the right mind would vote for that. But I guess that's my point. If nobody else can provide this service for us, Acadian goes under, AMR goes out, Rankin Hospital goes
I
out.
understand,
So
I
it's
understand all
obviously-
that, yeah, you
But-
go into any more detail, I understand, I'm just saying, I'm skeptical of the 100,000, I think we just gave $100,000, and I'm glad as long as the service keeps going.
If to me, is $100,000 worth of another truck? It's paying $100,000 worth keeping another
Come on,
truck.
Greg.
Do you think it
No,
is?
One more
no,
time.
I am,
One more time.
I agree.
All right, let's move on.
But I'm not
Hang on,
so
Joe, hang
sure.
on. Maybe, do you think it's worth it?
I'm not so sure that they had to have the 100,000 to keep the other trucks.
I mean, all we can go by is go by what they say.
I know.
If I could make just a comment that may summarize sort of the thinking of the board about the subsidy request as a way of demonstrating good faith. You know, technically, under the existing contract, even with the subsidy as presented at this moment, they can still take that truck out.
That's right.
Their barometer
Yeah, sell
of
on
performance is a runtime.
Yep.
Okay? So they could take your 100 and still pull the truck.
Mm-hmm.
I think as a show of good faith, what we may want to do is to go back and say, you've got your subsidy. We want you to amend the contract to state 7 trucks at all times in Rankin County.
Or,
Okay.
or a minimum of 7.
A minimum of
Be-
7
be-
trucks.
Because
You
here's the
might need
deal.
9.
It's not necessarily about the trucks as it is the response times.
Right.
That's correct.
Yep.
I'm just suggesting to you as a way of demonstrating their good faith. In other words, we need this to provide the service at the current, okay, fine. Put it in the contract, amend the contract to reflect that the
a good point.
minimum
Sure.
level of service will be the 7 truck minimum.
Okay.
Yeah, otherwise
Yeah,
we don't
and-
have any
and-
guarantee.
Hey, and I,
But hey, I'm voting for it.
and
You ain't
I'm
arguing with me.
not- no, I'm
Arguing
with-
on the end.
Well, I mean, Bishop.
I see it
It's my
as,
fault.
get
I
it.
take blame for it. I asked Bishop's opinion. That was a mistake, obviously. You know.
No, I don't agree with a lot of what he said,
As long as-
but I think we do, I
We're
think
just trying
we
to
just what
manage.
It's not
Craig
the number.
said, because there's no
It's time.
guarantee they'll keep it here.
I don't want to put that in there.
What?
I don't see a need in putting that in there. I mean, the big deal is, as long as they're getting our times, we still have the right to fire them at any time we want.
Sure.
I don't know.
If our run times
I mean,
were
I
not
don't want to
good,
make it any more
then I
complicated.
would say, yeah, we
than
need them in there.
We already got it.
But our run times are better than we even expected.
so you
You're
could,
doing what no other company's been able to
And
do.
not only that, if they say they're gonna put 7, we probably gonna have to pay another $150 a year.
yeah, as a throwaway, just as a feel good, let's condition the payment on a continuation, a demonstrated response time where it is today.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah. No
If we're
drop
gonna
off
give you
service.
100,000, we expect you to hit the same
Right.
run times,
Keep
and we're gonna
everything.
watch it.
Yeah, sure. I'm good with that.
That's good.
Well, we need to amend that to the motion, or
No, sir, y'all just tell
Just put the
Brian
wording
that you
in.
want to see him to go back to them and indicate that that was what the board wants.
Because they hadn't agreed to it yet.
And look, I'm not suggesting, I mean, that's nearly impossible for us to embed back into this contract. We've already got runtime language in the contract. This is an extra lanyard throwaway comment that just gets somebody's attention. We expect you to hit those 12-minute times or 10-minute times, whatever they are.
Whatever our parameters are now.
We want it to be right where it is today.
Okay. All right, anything else? Mr. Grant, thank you very much.
The board lawyer appreciates not having to hear about ambulance runtime complaints a lot.
I mean, I guess my thing as well, it blows my mind how we even have discussions when a company fixes your ambulance problem.
Well, I'm willing to donate some of the consulting engineers' fees to keep
the ambulance service.
the ambulance service happy, if it helps.
I like it. All right, thank you, Mr. Grant. What else under additional business, Mr. Slay?
Do we need to do the thing with the government consultant?
Yes, sir.
I like to make,
Go ahead.
What?
I like to make it,
We need to add it and then,
and make
For
a
the
motion, we
Mill
add
Creek.
to the agenda, everybody pay attention, add to the agenda for
The name-
Bernini
Yeah.
Law Firm as our consulting attorney, both on the federal and state level, Mr. Baker,
For a 6-month period?
for a 6 month, what was it?
6-month period?
6 month period.
yes.
All right, got a motion by Mr. Morrow to add that to the motion?
Yeah, add
May I
that.
add that to the minutes,
Right.
agenda? Second by Mr. Morrison. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed with a like sign. All right, now, right back at it, Mr. Morrow.
I'm sorry, motion to approve.
And a motion to approve, 6-month issue with Brunini
$6,500 a month.
for $6,500 a month.
That's beginning October 1, right?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Yeah,
Piggybacking off the
yeah, I think
existing.
I think they terminated, the contract terminated September 30.
Okay. So got a motion by Mr. Morrow. Second. Second by Mr. Bishop. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed with a like sign. All right, motion passes. Mr. Slay, anything else? Jessica?
Mike has an
She pointed toward
important issue.
Jessica, so I thought,
Oh, I'm
Jessica, you want to
sorry.
come up to the podium and anything to say? No? No. Turn her mic on so we can hear.
Yeah, she keeps it off all the
That's
time.
Mike?
Like to bring back, lawnmowers for Old Fannin Road.
No,
No,
no.
no. Heck
I'm tired of cutting their damn grass up there.
I make a motion that we add this item to the agenda.
I'll
I think
second
we
the
need to
motion
let
from Mr.
Woodward do
Bishop.
it. I think Gary Rhodes is a good fellow. He would love to help us out of this
Mr.
situation.
Bishop makes a motion to add it to the agenda. I second it. Any further discussion? All in favor
This is
say
going-
aye.
This is going to balloon snowball on us. I don't think we need to be cutting
Hey
grass.
man,
with
look,
a
we
mower.
already cut it. It's just
That's-
that we don't
cut
cut
speed
it
limit.
enough.
Well,
and
that's- we
the
don't cut-
sheriff agreed to let us use their tractor lawnmowers on Friday, and that ain't cutting it. It ain't working for us.
Literally or figuratively?
Both. Both.
Who's letting us use a tractor?
Sure.
The sheriff.
Yeah.
And
Lawnmowers.
Why is it
The
not
lawnmowers.
working?
because
We gotta cut it more?
they're somewhere else on
Yeah,
Fridays.
I
They're not
mean,
getting to use them.
and not only that, it takes more than one day to
Why
get cut.
manicuring the sides of roads like that though, Jay?
Because that's the most heavily traveled road we have. And not
Oh.
only that, we got 10
That's
subdivisions.
a heavily
that-
traveled road we have.
Absolutely. No, I'm not talking about a state highway.
that.
County road.
County
What
road.
about that?
County road.
I'm not talking about a state highway or interstate, but yeah, I mean, and not only that, we've gone out here and done all this fancy stuff to it, and it looks like crap whenever we got weeds standing 2 foot tall. And I know y'all don't get the calls or emails, but I know I do. And,
I wish my weeds were only 2 foot
And
tall.
Daniel does.
and Daniel does. So.
Our weeds are like.
But look, the only thing, our only expense here though, and the only thing that's gonna change is buying these 2 lawnmowers. We're gonna have prisoners do the cutting, so it's not gonna be more man hours. Not only that, we're gonna, give our men who do come cut it once a month, opportunity to go do something else.
All right, so we've got a motion by
about
Mr. Bishop to add it to the agenda. Second by myself. Any further discussion on adding it to the agenda? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with a like sign. All right, motion passes, add it to the agenda.
Mike, how much are they?
They're 10,000 apiece.
Wow, they keep going up.
Well, 9,000 and some odd dollars. I just rounded it off. I mean,
Well, 9 to 13
What
is
is
a
that,
big jump.
X-Mark, Skag?
He said 10.
no, sir, they state contract,
What
whatever.
are
He
these?
said 10.
They John Deere.
Okay. Alright.
All right.
They just, they on our state contract
How many you want to
deal.
buy?
Huh?
12. We're gonna buy 12 mowers. Just kidding.
Two, and then we'll,
I
then
tell you
we'll buy
what,
blades.
if you come on down south part of the county, I might be willing to get to 12.
Hey, look,
Then you get, then you're gonna get blades every other week.
the reason why we're doing it now, so we can get it under, he can spend the money out of this budget year.
Jake, make the motion.
Alright, I make a motion to buy these 2 mowers.
We got a motion by Mr. Bishop to buy them, second by myself. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with a like sign? 5-0 pass. Mr. Harrison, thank you very much.
Thank y'all
Alright,
very
y'all
much.
get out there and cut the grass.
All right, anything else, Mr. Slay, Ms. Oster? Jessica, anything
I
else?
think it's a ridiculous thing.
All
we
right, so
do.
we're all good.
I really know for it.
All right, got a motion to recess until the 28th
What's the use?
of September.
So moved.
Got a motion by Mr. Morrow, second by Mr. Bishop. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed with a like sign?
Hey, we're
The
not
board's in
going up in
recess
any
to the 28th.
neighborhood then, and cutting any entrances
It's
of
just-
neighborhoods.
It's just
Oak
a
Grove,
minute.
Oak
We got-
Grove,
We will be.
Oak Grove.